Live, Spirit and Coffee. Got my coffee here. Yum. And I think I forgot to put the description on my Spirit and Coffee, so it's okay. It's been there enough times. I think you guys know what it is, except for the people on Podbean. I did put it up. Okay, so yummy, yummy, yummy coffee. Warms the soul. Good morning, Lisa. How are you? Good friend. So I wanted to go over, I had a question from one of my followers, which is actually my aunt. Can't wait for you to try CBD coffee. Oh, hi, how are you? Yes, yay. Okay, so you're the individual, is it Devin? Devin? I think I'm saying your name right, I hope. That my sister told me about you, and I would love to try your CBD. Good morning, Nisha. Coffee. I do actually do CBD for my endometriosis, and when I get cramps really bad, it's the only thing that I'll use that's natural. I don't use anything else. I don't take pills, medication. I don't do sugar. I live a pretty clean life. Yes, Lisa. And when we get together, Lisa, maybe at the retreat, we can have Devin come and good morning, Tony, and actually maybe give some samples to the individuals that are there. Maybe that's part of it, is the healing piece that comes from attending the retreat, which I'll talk about a little bit later in Spirit and Coffee. But I wanted to talk about, I had a question from my aunt, my follower aunt, and she asked a question. She's a faithful follower, which I love her. And the mindset, right? She asked the question about in the body. And it's really hard for me to articulate. I can only speak from my own perspective. Now, there's millions of billions and trillions, as many people as there are on the planet is as many perspectives we have in the world, all very uniquely different, all individually, it's unique to each individual. Okay. And so each individual has their own way of engaging life, their own way of understanding life, their own way of understanding spirituality. Some people don't have spirituality in their life. Some people don't believe it. Some people believe in God. Some people believe in a bunch of gods. So the vast majority of the way that people engage life is different. Could I possibly go over every scenario or the way that each individual experiences life? No. Yes, worldviews, Lisa. And I personally cannot do that, right? I don't have the capacity to engage in everybody's way of engaging or seeing life. And yes, in one lump sum worldviews. But I can talk from my perspective, which is a pretty big scope, because I am open to hearing all of everybody's perspective on life, because I don't know it all. Now, one of the things that came to my attention was the way that individuals experience things in the body. One thing that we talk about is that people forget they have a body. Now, when I say forget that they have a body, I don't mean that they just don't know their body doesn't exist. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that we, good morning, Suze, don't operate from our body. We operate from our mental capacity, mostly in the Western worldview. Okay. And good morning, Flesh. And so our worldview in Western society tells us that we need to be thinkers. We need to think, we need to be critical thinkers. Science is the way to prove things. There's no emotion. There's no let's use our emotion. Our intuition has been sort of put to the side. Now, has it been completely taken out? No, because you can't do that. But we've been programmed to think mostly critically, mostly with our brains, mostly mentally, scientifically, from the masculine perspective. The emotional perspective has sort of been minimized. In the emotional experience that we have, the emotional experience allows us to engage in the sacred feminine. It's intuition. It's the heart. It's us being able to open up and to feel, okay? To feel what is happening around us, to experience what is happening around us. Now, here's the deal. I coach people. And one of the coaching questions that I ask is, where do you feel that in your body? Or where do you feel that? Well, it feels good. Okay, but where? It feels like I'm happy. No, where do you feel it? Where? And then they go, what do you mean by that? I've never been asked that question. So to clarify is, where in the body do you have experiences in your life? We don't ask that question particularly. Most people say, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Oh, I'm feeling good. But where do you feel good? Where? Exactly pinpoint the place in the body where you feel good. And typically, with the majority of individuals, okay, not the whole world, obviously, they have no answer. They don't even know. They're like, I'm not sure. I haven't really thought about that. I'm happy. Well, where are you experiencing your happy? Where in the body? It feels good, but where? Oh, I don't know. So we forget that each experience that we have is a sensation in the body. And when we get clearer about how those emotions are, those feelings are impacting our body and where they're impacting our body, then we have a little bit more power over our body. We have a little bit more control over how we operate our body or how we engage in concepts for the body. So if I say, how are you feeling this morning? And you say, and by all means, someone chime in here. How are you feeling this morning, people? Somebody give me a something of how you're feeling. Some sort of adverb or verb or tired. Okay, there we go. Thank you, Suze. So a peace, rested. Okay, good. Thank you guys for chiming in. I appreciate that. Now, wonderful. So let's go with, there's people that say rested and there's some people that say tired. So where in your body are you tired? Where? Where in particular are you tired? Where are you experiencing the tired? Fine, but I feel something in my chest. I feel tired in my head. Okay, what is the physical sensation in the head? Where my anxiety lives. Okay, so someone says in their chest, fuzzy. Okay, so fuzzy. So peace is in my throat, vibration. Awesome. Thank you guys. I love the participation. It's hard to participate in this way, but it's necessary because we look at the fuzzy, right? Let's look at the fuzzy. Let's look at the in the back of my head. Okay, good. So there's a vibration in the throat. Now, peace and tranquility and vibration in the throat, fuzzy in the head, right? We have where my anxiety lives. I feel fine, but something in my chest. So what's the physical feel? Heavy in my chest. Okay, so heavy is the physical sensation. Now, I walk people through this process of feeling it in their body because now you know. Here's the deal. When we have an experience, right? Memories are something that we keep in our mind. So it'll be like, oh yeah, I remember that time when we went out and we had, tummy hurts, all else is good. Thanks, Tony. Good morning. When we go out and we're like, I remember that time with our friends. Remember we were da-da-da and someone fell, blah, blah. Okay, and you remember these points in time. The majority of the things that you remember are actually connected to a physical experience in the body that you remember. If you understand what joy, or if you understand, like you said, you're having some pain in the head, or your head feels fuzzy and you're feeling tired, and that tiredness has a connection to how you engage in the world. So now you ask yourself, okay, well, with this thing that's going on in my head, how am I interacting with the world around me based on that? Now, how do I shift the energy? If I'm feeling heavy in my chest, how do I become light? If I'm feeling fuzzy, how do I become clear? Why is there no clarity there? Why is it fuzzy? How do I support myself into the experience that I choose to experience? Those things happen when we experience things at moments in time. So asking yourself, when was a time I felt good? So for instance, we're going to go through just one individual, right? And I could do this with every individual on here. This is part of what I do as coaching. And I'm glad that my aunt asked the question about, well, what are you talking about? Because now I get to dig a little deeper, is what I was trying to say. Okay. So fuzziness in your head, Suze, and you're saying that, what is the fuzziness? Are you not clear about something in your life? What's fuzzy? Are your thoughts fuzzy? Or is the physical sensation like causing you to get dizzy or not be able to see properly? What is the fuzzy? Okay. Now we can go through each individual. You said you have anxiety, you feel fine, but something in your chest, where my anxiety lives. In your chest, you feel heavy. Have you ever had an experience in your life where you felt light in your chest? What was the experience? What were you doing? Your tummy hurts. Okay. In that experience of your tummy hurt, how are you engaging life? Where does the tummy hurt? What does the sensation feel like? Is it sharp pain? So it gets really hard to identify the feelings and sensations and to articulate them. But once we do, once we have the actual words to describe what we're experiencing, we become a little bit more clear in our communication. This is where the clarity steps in for us. This is when we're able to communicate the experience that we're having from the physical sensations of our body. Our emotions, right, are sort of centered around the way that we feel. Good morning, Suzanne. So if we talked about peace in the throat and the vibration, what does that mean for you? Nisha, how does that support you in your life? How do you utilize that energy or that vibrational frequency in your throat that feels like peace to express it out to the world? If you could put words around it, what would you say? If you could describe it to an individual. Awareness is key. Yes, thanks, Lisa. I would totally chime you in on this one if I could invite people on here to be guests. Lisa's very helpful. I'm really not sure. Okay. And that's good. That's okay. You don't have to be sure. That's the point. The point is that getting clearer about it, because it's like if you started to say, well, look at this piece that I have. Now, another thing, Nisha, is that if you are not experiencing peace and it's in the throat, how do you release that energy to experience the peace that you're saying you're experiencing now? Because there might be restriction there. So the body is, we forget about this, right? We forget about the vessel. Not that we don't act like we don't have a body. It's just that everything that we do and operate from, our body has a physical sensation connected to it. Our happiness, we experience that somewhere in the body. Our anger and frustration, we have that experience somewhere in the body. If we learn how to utilize the body as a sort of I get it. That's where my anger lives. My anger lives in my belly. My anger lives in my heart. My anxiety is living wherever it lives. Now, how do I shift the energy? And that's where practices come in. There are different practices that you can use. I have my practices, may not be the best for you. I'll share them with you, but it could be a different practice. Like, for instance, Tony says her tummy hurts. So, what practice can you use to bring your tummy back to feeling good or happy? Where does it hurt? What is the physical sensation? Does it, again, is it like knives or is it like knots? Okay, tell us how. Well, I would have to go through a process with you. So, in other words, right, it's so you said you have anxiety and you feel heavy in your chest. What does the physical, so heavy how? What does heavy mean? What's weighing you down in your world? What do you feel is weighing you down? If you feel heavy, then heavy tells me that something's putting weight on you, right? When something feels heavy, it's pressure. Do you have pressure in your life, pressure with your family, pressure with your, I don't know, do you have children? Are you feeling pressure with your children? Are you feeling pressure from your job? Are you feeling pressure? Where is the pressure coming from? Getting clear about all those things, right? Like Nisha said, I'm not sure. I don't know. Most people don't, and that's okay. There's not a problem with that. The process of, that's why I coach individuals, because I help them get clear about the things that they're unclear of, or maybe even thinking about things that they may not have ever thought about. Like Nisha may have never thought, like, oh, I can utilize this energy for something in my life that's meaningful, like how to articulate or communicate to my loved ones the peace and tranquility and the bliss and spread that out. Or by merely just breathing and being peaceful, that I can then somehow shift the energy of a situation by merely just being. That is how mastery works. It's when we're able to drop into the body and not even speak and shift the energy of a room. Notice how that happens. Notice how, when, let's say we're all having a good time and we're laughing and everybody's this, and someone who's holding energy that's wants to suck the life force out of that happiness, right? They come in and they're just like, bleh, they're not having it. It can shift the entire energy of a room. They don't even need to say anything. And then the whole energy shifts, and it's as though that energy is passed on to other people. So we have the power to shift energy. Or you could come in, you've heard it, you're the life of the party, we need you. What does that mean? It means that the person who's bringing in all of that energy is sort of igniting the flames within everybody else, and then everybody else starts to join in. They sort of hold the torch of this, right? So what is the torch you're holding? How are you using that torch to bring it into situations in the world, in your relationships, in your families, in your friendships? I'm tired. Let's see. My tired is, I think, relating to a person I'm meeting. Got it. Okay. So look, good morning, Philip. Good morning, Pam. So asking yourself, right? I'm tired. My tired is relating to a person I'm meeting. So the person that you're meeting, are they weighing you down? Are they helping you to be light? Oh, I'm sorry. You weren't that heavy. I'm sorry. I have like all these people with different emotions, Susan. That's not what you said. You said you have fuzzy in your head. You're fuzzy. So is this person not, like, are you not clear about this person? Because you said you're fuzzy. So how come there's no clarity there? Or is there clarity missing with this person? Or is there something you need to talk about that's going to help you get clearer with this person? Okay. And maybe, and I'm just, so processes like this are hard. I'm going to have to make some assumptions, obviously, because we're not on a call. And I thought like maybe I can do some coaching um, over Spirit and Coffee Podbean Live where people can call in. Family member is, it's so hard. Yes. Okay. Now, fuzzy, I like the word fuzzy because it gives me an idea of what you're experiencing in the brain. Because to me, fuzzy tells me that there's not clarity. It's like a fog. All I see is like this haze and this fog, and that the curtains need to be pulled out. So, what is it that's not clear in this relationship? What is not clear? Have you not been able to be authentic and open up? What I'm seeing is that there's probably something you need to say and you're not saying it, or you're not clear about how to say it. And that whatever they're experiencing, you're not sure of how they want to engage you. Scared, hurt feelings. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's how do we communicate with people? So sometimes, and typically when I do coaching, it's not about giving advice, but I do give advice to my nieces and to my friends and stuff. And sometimes I say we need to disconnect from those that are not supporting us, because we have to make sure that we're okay before we can actually engage with others. I have to make sure I'm good before I can help others out. There's no way that I could do that. Like I have to be okay, I have to be grounded. I won't even take on a coachy if I'm not grounded and good. Or I seek coaching for myself. Like, okay, I'm going to need coaching right now if I'm to coach somebody else. So to get clear about it, right? Being clear. Now, here's the cool thing that I want to say. And I'm glad that you guys are engaging, because it's obvious that this is a huge trigger for people to understand how to experience their emotions and their feelings in the body. And I don't mean just like the surface level stuff, like, oh yeah, I kind of, it feels okay. No, it feels fuzzy. Get very clear about this physical sensations that you have within the body. When you're clear on them, you can start to untangle some of even the sicknesses that you have. Anxiety is a huge one. Stress is a big one. Stress can do all kinds of weird things to the body because we release and secrete these hormones that are not good. Too much of a certain hormone, not good for us, right? It's not good to have so much in our body. And I think cortisol is what gets released, if I'm correct, when we're in stress, high stress. I could be wrong about that. But when we release these hormones or secrete these hormones into our body, now we've put ourselves into a state of sickness. It's too much of it can get us very sick. It's very toxic for us. Heart attacks happen because of it. Stroke, all these different things. So, good morning, Vinny. So we have a way of sort of, how do we take this anxiety, this heaviness in the heart, okay? And how do we switch it into something that's light? Those practices are what open us up to sort of shift the energy, like breath. Like I'm going to breathe. I'm going to do yoga. I'm going to go work out. I was telling a friend the other day, if I didn't work out, I would go crazy. You would see Natalie like rah, angry, rah, like a lion, rah. And I would probably, you would see steam coming out of my head, because naturally I get so frustrated, and then anger comes out of me. Well, I rather take that energy and focus it into working out, which then gives me a positive result, right? It's something that's positive for my body, and I get to release the energy into something that it's not harmful. It's not harming anybody. So when we start to experience the anxiety, when we start to experience the heaviness in our body and we're clear, then we go, oh, I can shift that energy through breath work because I know how to do it. I understand how to breathe the lightness into my heart. I understand that when I'm frustrated, that when I go work out, like I get the best workout ever. And after I'm done, I feel peace. I allow myself to let all the emotional shit come up and out. So literally when I'm working out, sometimes I'm like, if you could hear what was in my head, you know, it's that drill sergeant coach. And sometimes I even cry to the point of like, I'm coming for it. Like I just let it all out. I get it all out. And after, I feel light. I feel my heart feels like it's beating slow and peaceful and tranquil. My breath feels slow and engaged. I was talking about Kundalini yoga, where when I do breath work, each cell in my body was vibrating in happiness and joy and saying thank you. And it was this feeling of bliss and light. And I felt like I could just float up off the floor. Now, when you can experience something in your body and communicate it with clarity, you take personal responsibility for everything that shows up in your life. There's no need to have conflict with people because all you do is say, this is my experience. So it's synonymous with personal responsibility, authenticity, vulnerability, communication. It interconnects with all of these principles that help us to lead a life of balance, joy, our divine birthright. Good morning, King Zion. Good morning, Viola. Good morning, Green Lantern. Yes, I sew. Oh, you sew. Nice. What do you sew? Yoga. So I appreciate clothing. Nice, Nisha. That's so cool. That's awesome. And perhaps that's where you find your practice and your peace and your creativity. And perhaps that's why you're experiencing it. I walk into my sewing room and I literally smell peace. That is so beautiful. I love it. What does peace smell like to you? I think to me, oranges came to mind, and I don't even know why. Okay, so the cool thing is that we and Lisa and I don't know if Lisa's still on here, um, will be doing a tiny mini retreat. I've been wanting to do this for a very long time. I've facilitated some retreats in the past. And this one is going to be very, very intimate, very small, and just easy going. And so the retreat is going to be about 5 to 10 people, nothing big, nothing major. Okay. Can't describe it, but it's settling. Awesome. So I would say, Nisha, come up with that, what it is. Like when you inhale, what is it that, what are the beautiful images and smells that might come to mind when you walk in there? Find certain excitement in doing media work. Nice. Media work. That's fun for me too. I like to do that kind of stuff as well. So the retreat is going to be supportive of just being able to recreate your life, reinvent your life. Good morning, bestie. How are you? Haven't seen you on here in a while. Salute to you. Talking about experiencing things in the body and how we experience the body and how we've forgotten that we have a body and how to get people back to the body so that they can then utilize these sensations of their body to recreate, reinvent, step into their life fully and to actually utilize the tools that they have, the power. This is where your power is. When I was talking about the Kundalini energy, that's what it is. It's what do we feel in our body at the root, at the base of the pelvis, up through the stomach, up through the heart, up through our head, in our hands. You know, are we feeling happiness and joy in our body? And what does that feel like? And where do you feel it? And exactly how does it feel? Can you describe it? Is it vibration? Is it heavy, like someone said? Or is it pain and cramping? Or is it needles and pins? Or is it light and fluffy, like floating? Different ways to describe it. So in that retreat, really being an exploration of the body. And we're going to do, I think about 5 to 10 people, very tiny, very intimate, very small, just to allow people to come in and enjoy life. The image I can describe is slow creation. The slower I sow, the more intentional my heart slows down. I feel the world slow down. I love that. I love the connection. Right on. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You're understanding how the connection to how we engage every piece of what we do has a direct connection to what we experience out in the external world. That is the perfect example, Nisha. When you slow down in your creation, time seems to slow, right? Your heart slows. Everything in your body seems to slow down. It's as though you've created more time. It's as if time exists slower and that you're able to somehow participate with time rather than be controlled by time. I love that. Yes, you can create time. And that takes time for people to get that they can create time, especially busybodies. That's me. It took me a long time to figure out how to create time because, boy, did I ever. Time just seemed to slip away. We can slow time. And that's exactly a great example. Now, as you know, Nisha sews. Not everybody sews, and they don't have to. But when you find your passion, it is true. Time seems to sort of slow down. And you sort of in the flow of the energy, and it sort of becomes and morphs with you. And it's a dance of like flow, right? Where you become one with it and it becomes one with you. And it's this beautiful energy that sways back and forth. That is when you're in your divine purpose. There's this fluid sort of feeling, right? I literally started slowing to replace something unhealthy in my life. Really, a relationship that was thank you. That's very good. I use it to cope with the relation. That's beautiful. Love it. There you go. Good job, Nisha. Thank you for sharing. I love when people share their examples because they come up with better examples than I do. And it's beautiful. You've basically put in a practice, and that's what I'm trying to teach people, is that put in a practice in place of. It's not that you forget that this thing's happened, but you're utilizing the energy on things to create. Like the best songs that we ever hear on the radio came from some kind of heartbreak. And the musician utilizes their talent of, right? Uses their talent to create, to shape, to overcome what they were going through. They use it as the art form. That's beautiful. Good for you. Yes. And there you go. Yeah, I know you meant Nisha. It takes time to know people. Exactly. So, but I love engaging in facilitation of individuals sort of trying to understand. And that's what I do as a life coach. It's what I do. And I know Quad D used to get on here Yes, putting that energy somewhere. And Quad D sort of stopped. I hope Quad D is good because I do think about you guys, the ones that don't continue to show up but do engage. I remember those who engage. And I know Quad D was having some, stuff. And I really hope that Quad D shows up, or pray, put some prayers out there for Quad D. And I said I would give them a one-on-one session. And that's true for everybody on here. If you want a one-on-one session, for if you need a coaching session, I'm always here. You just need to email me at spiritandbrew@gmail.com. We could go through a process, see how it works, and that's what I'm here to do. And this is sort of how it goes. This is how a coaching session goes. Where do you feel in your body? How do we get clear about what you want to create in your life? How do we facilitate that clarity for your life so that you're creating what you want? It has nothing to do with me because it's not about me. It's not about me. So, good question. I'm glad that my aunt asked the question. I hope she listens to this. It gives her some clarity as to what I was talking about. Not that people forget that they have a body, but how to utilize the vessel. Like we've really been really good about using our brains and our head from our head space. And then when we're feeling sick, then our body's like, yeah, you're not paying attention to me. And then we're like, shoot, we need to pay attention to the body. When we could pay attention to the body first, rather than doing that as a side dish. So starting with the body and the breath. Where do I feel it? When I wake up in the morning, is my head feeling fuzzy, or is my heart feeling heavy, or am I feeling peace in my throat, or is my tummy hurting? What is happening to me when I wake up? How do I shift the energy? Do I need to just be with this energy right now? What lessons am I learning from this? Is it that I feel heavy in my chest because I'm holding on to a bunch of stuff that I don't need to hold on to? Am I feeling fuzzy in my head because I don't have clarity around the relationships that I have in my life? Am I feeling pain in my stomach or needles in my stomach or whatever sensation I'm feeling in my stomach because I need to take those daggers out of my life, the ones that keep piercing me, or I need to untangle shady relationships that are there because now my stomach's in knots because of it, and I need to untangle that. You're welcome, Suze. Yes, that energy materializes if we ignore those quieter warnings. Perfectly said. Thank you, Natalie. Of course. So get up in the morning. Oh, good morning, Reggie. I haven't seen you in a while. Bless you as well. So wake up in the morning, ask yourself these questions, right? I literally have been having iron issues. That's my issue. That's the issue that I go to. Like my body just doesn't like iron. It just wants to get rid of it. And I'm like, why? Please, I need it. But asking myself, am I doing too much? Do I need to pause out? Why am I experiencing this sensation of pain, right? Or chronic pain in my legs, feel fatigued, right? Am I trying to carry too much weight? How do I become lighter in my legs? I ask myself these questions. What breath work do I need to do to release this energy? So these are the things that I do. Then I come up with the practices, and like, honestly, you guys have your practices. Suze, you'll come up with the practice that may give you clarity in the brain. Nisha came up with a perfect example of how you can utilize that energy for yourself. If you're feeling anxiety and heaviness in the heart, what practices can you put into place to support you into your lightness? What is it that you get to do? Now, don't come up, most people, when I coach them, and I've noticed, they'll come up with things that they ain't gonna ever do. And I'll be like, so how did that practice go? Yeah, I didn't do it. Well, what did you do instead? Did you do something? Well, I was doing this. Well, make that your practice. Why are you trying to force yourself into a practice that doesn't work for you? I don't like to journal. I'm not much of a journaler. That's not my thing. It's just never going to be. If I commit, I said, I'm going to commit to doing this and I don't do it. What do I commit to? What is my process? Oh, well, I know that when I wake up, I could commit to meditation in the morning. That's a natural thing. Or breathing, doing breath work in the morning, that's a natural thing. Or stretching, do something that's natural for you, that you know that you're going to follow through with. You don't have to force yourself into a practice. Sewing is something that's natural for Anisha. Not Don't go say, oh well, Anisha's doing that, I think I'm gonna try it. And then you totally it doesn't even work. And you're like, yeah, but I was gonna do it every day. And then you never did it. Instead, you were doing folding clothes and that gave you peace, or cleaning house. You don't have to force yourself into a practice, is what I'm saying. Yoga, walks, bike riding. Yay. There you go. And that works for you. So when you're feeling the heaviness in your heart, ask yourself, will I be able to, let me do yoga, even if it's 10 minutes of downward dog, sun salutation, and I don't know, chaturanga, whatever it is for you. Maybe it's just meditation, laying there. Or can I get 10 minutes of bike riding? And again, it doesn't have to be an hour, just enough to get that energy flowing up and out of you so that you can go back to creating. Okay. So I hope this helps. Thank you guys. I love all the engagement. I think it was a perfect subject for me to join in, kind of meet you. Yes. Well, good. I'm glad. And I'm here we're in the same place. So if you ever want to meet up, you can email me at spiritandbrew@gmail.com, and we can set up a time to meet face to face if you would like to do that. And then also for those of you that we will be doing a retreat, probably the first of the year, just to reinvent your life. Like, everything that's happened this year has been sort of crazy. I don't think I don't think people knew that their life was going to go this way. So we, and so we can recreate. Now it's time for us to recreate. I've talked about that the entire time, is how do we create from this new information, this newfound way of being, and how do we create something new into our life? And how do we utilize the new information that we've received or experienced? Beautiful, right? We can do that together. So more details on that. Something I've really been wanting to do for a long time, and I would love to meet some of the people that get on here, and hopefully you all can make it to come out and just enjoy a probably 1 to 2 day retreat of healing and recreation of your life, so that you can step into the new year and powerfully. Okay, I've been saying this forever. It hasn't happened, but God willing, I'm praying that it does. So God gets to lead it. So hopefully God will be like, yes, this is time. Just pray. Okay, so I love you guys. Have a most magical, magnetic, magnificent, marvelous Monday ever. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.